Hi YouTube. To begin with this video, I just want to pose a question about what do you think the author of this statement is talking. It starts off mentioning a particular scientific theory, and it says this now has such a dominant position in the academy that it is practically career suicide for a young theoretical physicist not to join the field. You may think that this is talking about evolution or creation or the Big Bang or something along those lines, but it's actually something completely different. You might be surprised to hear that the author, Lee Smolin, is talking about string theory. So the question may be asked, why am I interested in string theory? Well, the short answer is, at the moment, I'm not. However, this does raise a very important point. People tend to often see the scientific community as a completely objective and unbiased community, one which will only accept theories upon the basis of hard facts and evidence, and a community which rejects its own bias when making a decision. As this quote shows, however, this is wrong. The scientific community is made up of individuals who are human, and as human they are as subjective and flawed as any other human being. They do not possess a supernatural power or any amazing ability to detach themselves from the world and the conclusions which a theory produces any more than anyone else, any more than the person who cleans your toilet. This quote, however, I find fascinating because it indicates for a theoretical physicist who's young and trying to go somewhere in the academic world, for them to suggest that they don't follow string theory is, quote, career suicide. Isn't it amazing that to associate oneself with something other than the beliefs of the person who is above you in terms of the career path can cause such disruption and such damage to one's career? Can you imagine then what sort of disadvantage or handicap it could be for someone who's a creationist or someone who is an atheist but rejects evolution, and how they could go through the scientific community or be unappreciated by the scientific community because of the innate bias of those members towards one particular theory. In this case, it's just string theory. What's amazing about the fact that string theory could be so poignant in determining one's academic career is the fact that string theory has very few conclusions to it if you subscribe to another theory. It's unlikely to cause any great changes in the way someone lives. In contrast to string theory, if we look at creationism, you can imagine how much of a greater bias that could be for someone when seeking to determine their academic career. After all, unlike string theory, the belief in a God and in Christianity has huge implications upon the behaviour of the people involved. That is, if there is a God and He made us, then we are accountable to Him. And in addition, if we are to accept Christ as our Saviour, we must first accept that we have made mistakes. Now, for someone with pride, or for anyone with pride, having to accept that you are a sinner and someone who's done something wrong, and that you have no hope outside of accepting the grace of someone else, something that you haven't worked for but is a gift, well, that could hurt anyone's pride. Now, with this in mind, how much a greater problem could this cause when seeking to rise up the academic career path if one first establishes that they do actually adhere to creation or creationism? In contrast to string theory, that's a much bigger roadblock. Nothing to do with the theory itself, but merely to do with the innate human biases that are involved in the decision-making process.